As an owner of a very busy property management company, my property managers carry an enormous responsibility with 6 to 12 properties to oversee. They are responsible for every phase of operations. Fielding calls all day from property owners, board members, contractors, and tenants, all while juggling endless paperwork. It's a demanding role. That leaves very little time for proactive landscaping site visits. Unfortunately, one of the first things to get overlooked is often the landscaping. Large communities such as homeowner associations, apartment complexes, and townhome communities that cover acres of property, touring them regularly is time-consuming, yet property managers are expected to do it. The reality is that most managers are not landscape experts. They rely heavily on their contracted landscape company to get the job done. The problem, many landscape companies underbid just to win contracts. By doing this, they cut corners. To make payroll, they take shortcuts, skipping schedule services, cutting corners on maintenance, and delivering results that fall short of expectations.
And this is where we come in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. My name is Frank Bernardo. I'm the president and CEO of Floridascape, Property Managers Support System. What exactly is a support system? Well, we are now going to take the stress off of your plate in touring your properties to make sure your hired landscaper is adequately doing the job they're contracted to do. Let's face it, and you as a property manager, or you as the owner of a property management company, you all know most boards will take the lowest bid year after year. They do that because obviously there's a ton of expenses with the board and everything that they've got to do throughout the whole complex. But what suffers most? Where do you get the most bad phone calls from? It's because of your landscaping. And when you hire a company that gives that lowest bid, that's the norm. Because why? They're taking shortcuts. The hired landscaping company, they throw in low bids. They do this to all the properties just in order to get payroll dollars coming in to do their payroll, truck expense, rent, insurance, it goes on and on. But they know that they can't adequately maintain those properties at those prices. So who holds that landscaper accountable? Well, as a property management company, it's your responsibility. You're supposed to have the oversight. You're supposed to be touring those properties once a month and giving reports to the board. Not only to the board, but to the landscaper. But as a property manager, do you have enough time in your week, in your month, to walk acres of property? Let's face it, you're probably managing anywhere from 6 to 12 properties. These properties are not small. They're townhome complexes, they're condos, they're malls, they're corporations, they're industrial parks. Do you have time to do your monthly tours to make sure your hired landscaper is doing the job? Again, the answer is no. You may do drive-bys, do a quick, oversight, and hope that you get through. But once those phone calls start coming in from the owners, the board members, angry tenants, who's responsible? You are. The property management company is responsible. Now we've taken all of the stress off of your plate. I've developed a brand new concept, an innovative concept, that we are now going to do those tours for you. We are going to do your monthly tours. We are going to give you a checklist of everything that landscaper is not doing under their contracted services to that property. And now you're going to be able to go to that landscaper and give them that checklist and demand that they do the work they're hired to do. What this is going to do, it's going to eliminate all those angry phone calls from the board members, from the owners, from the tenants. You don't need that. You're doing accounting, you're doing paperwork, you're talking to contractors, you're setting up meetings. It never ends. Your desk work never ends. So when do you get time to walk a property? Again, hire Floridascape, Property Managers Support Services. We'll take the stress off your plate. Let me give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. This is a high-profile property. Many people visit this site every day. Let me show you what the landscapers are neglecting. Look at all the weeds in this landscape bed. All right? This is not supposed to happen. The landscaper is supposed to take care of this weekly, and obviously they're not doing their job. But who gets the call? You do. We could keep going. Got more weeds here. You've got garbage. You've got damaged plants. We've got grasses that are overgrowing the walkways. You could look at the lawn. Look at all the weeds in the lawn. These landscaping beds are supposed to have a nice tight edge applied to them. We got dead grasses in the back, palms laying on the floor. These tree rings are supposed to be defined with an edge. Just look at this property. Look at the landscape. All right? Don't let this happen to you. And property managers, that's just one example. Think about it. If a board member or a tenant sent you pictures of the property looking the way that property just did, what's going to happen? You may lose your job. You may lose your contract. Don't let that happen to you. So here's what we're going to provide for you. Routine site walks. We'll do your tours, saving you hours of walking acres of land. Professional documentation. We will give you a checklist of everything that is not done on that property, in which you could present to the board as well as your landscaper. Quality assurance. We're going to make sure we're going to hold those landscapers accountable for the services they're getting paid for. Peace of mind. We all need peace of mind. You will now have that with Floridascape, property managers, support services, because we've now taken all the stress off your plate. You're going to now have a detailed report of everything that is wrong on the property that you present to the board as well as the landscaper. Let's face it, board members, they don't want to be walking around saying, why do we have dead plants? Why are the beds not edged? Even if it's not in the contracted services, as long as you present it to the board, it's showing that you're doing your job. It's showing you're taking the extra step. It's showing that you care. And then if there's our services that the board does not want to do, you've done your job. You as a company, as an employee of a company, as an owner of a company, that's what you want. You want that communication with the board. Show the board that you're in, and that's going to keep your A1 rating. So in closing out here, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I think it's a great instrument, a great tool for property managers. It's going to be so helpful, because most property management companies, the number one reason that they get fired, it is because of their landscape. It's because of all the calls, and the board members don't want to hear the calls from the tenants. It just goes on and on. It's just so headachy for everybody. And then what happens? The property management company loses that contract the following year. Well, we've eliminated that. We take the stress off. We're going to give you the reports. You're going to have all the information for the board. It's going to keep you A1. Another thing that I have to offer, which is very, very special, is if you do have a landscape company that is not adequately doing their job, they're underperforming. I've been in this business for 35 years. I specialize in commercial landscaping maintenance. That's what I do. That's what I built my company on. That's my foundation. That's my number one thing, and I do it better than any company out there. I take great pride. I'm on those properties weekly. I'm doing those checklists. I'm so indebted to the business and keeping relationships with property management companies. I would love to bid out your properties, but if we can't get that opportunity to bid on the landscaping maintenance, landscaping, whatever you need, give us the opportunity to manage those properties for you. With my expertise, I will eliminate all those phone calls. I will eliminate all of those headaches. Only at Floridascape Property Manager Support Service System, your number one choice for any and all of your landscaping needs.